what in the hell is going on with the economy? Look, here we are in the year 2023. We just a few weeks ago saw Silicon Valley Bank crash, and I just saw a report that there's nearly 200 banks that are listed as unstable. Liquidity problems, high yield investments that are dangerous for the depositors and the investors. But what does that mean for the state of our economy? Now, first of all, I just want to rest assured that you know you can light your economy on fire whenever you want. However, we are living in the most uncertain economy that I've ever seen in my entire adult life. That doesn't mean you have to be afraid. In fact, I have this belief that over the next 24 months, you have the biggest opportunity to buy on discount. And I don't even mean real estate. There might be some great real estate deals, but I think the biggest opportunity is gonna be other asset classes, especially small businesses. What does that mean for you though in your income, and how do you even utilize it? Well, I can tell you this, over the next while, we are going to continue to see instability. A prime example is, in my area, there's a bank called Zion's Banking Corp. They were just downgraded by the Moody's credit rating, and they are listed as unstable. Now, if that type of bank collapses, it's gonna get gobbled up by a bigger bank for sure, but if it collapses, that is a huge bank in our general area with the multiple surrounding states that funds a lot of the development deals. It funds a lot of the new construction. It funds the dirt getting developed or the commercial properties getting developed. That's what we are facing down the pipeline. That is a lot of small and regional banks go out of business. Now, a couple things I'm gonna recommend for you. One of the things that I went and did with my cash portfolio is I made sure any of these smaller regional banks, I'm only keeping less than 250 grand in those deposits. Now, SVB, they bailed out those depositors on that big bank. I'm not so certain that they're gonna do that on every bank. It looks like they've set that precedent for sure, but I don't know for sure if that will happen. So I've got to protect my cash. The other thing though that you've got to understand that will protect you through this shitstorm over the next 24 months with the turbulence of the economy is you got to be way diversified. What I mean by that, Ray Dalio, he teaches 15 uncorrelated assets. Let me give you a few. Real estate, life insurance, cash, gold and silver, Bitcoin, stocks and equities, life settlements, private equities, energy. That's 9 different asset classes right there. If you have at least 5 different asset classes, you're gonna reduce your risk of loss by over 50%. If you get into 15, you'll reduce your risk of loss by over 80%. Now, there are a couple of rules you've probably heard about investing before, and investing is really just a lump sum payment for a future income. And when we look at what investing is, rule number 1, Warren Buffett always says, don't lose money. He says his rule number 2 is always follow rule number 1. Really look at rule number 2. When I look at rule number 2, it's adverse risk loss. Meaning, I have to admit that I don't really fucking know what's going on, and you have to admit the same. I am not smart enough to predict the future. I can anticipate, I can make decisions based on that, and I'm gonna bet on myself, but I sure as shit better hedge my investments. I better hedge on myself. I better hedge, because if you look track record, yes, I've won big a lot, but I have a lot of losses. In 2008, I built a spec home for $350,000 and it sold for $270,000. Right now, I built a spec home that I thought I'd make $150,000 on. I'm lucky if I'll break even on that deal, meaning I'm gonna fuck up in the future, and so are you. But when you do, how can you still make money? Yes, are we thinking about that? When you don't know what's happening, how can you create in such a way that you can still make money? Here's a prime example. I have a tail hedge. You might have heard of it. It's got a lot of good rap and bad rap. It's called Bitcoin. I don't own my entire portfolio in there, but I own a great chunk of it for that scenario when everything else crapper, it goes up. And look what's going to Bitcoin lately, it's going up. And I'm making money. Same with silver and gold, that could be a tail hedge. You gotta figure out though, how do you make money even when you make a mistake? And the number 1 way to hedge your investments is your psychological and your emotional state. We live in such a world with so much information today with this state of economy. Do you really know what's going on in Washington? Do you really know what's going on in Ukraine or Taiwan? Do you really know what's going on with the Trump indictment? Or do you really have a clue what's happening in Congress today? We can all speculate and we can all have our hallucinations, but no one truly knows. So the best way that you can hedge is to get clear, to get calm, and to get centered. I call it get into your wizard space. where you're calm and centered regardless of anything. And ultimately, like Napoleon Hill teaches in his great book, Think and Grow Rich, is give yourself space to think and make a decision and trust your hunch. He explains when he went to Canton, Ohio, he borrowed $50 from his brother-in-law. His brother-in-law even said, I can give you more money. And he says, no, I don't need it because I'm gonna trust my hunch. This is about self-trust. When he got to Canton, he stayed in the nicest hotel. And he was like in his head, maybe I shouldn't stay here. I'm gonna spend all of my money on the very first night stay. And he said, no, I'm gonna trust my hunch. But right now it's very difficult to trust yourself and to trust your hunch because of all of the noise. Too often are we looking for an outside source to validate. Now here's what I do, and I taught about this just recently when I was teaching about what a system is. It's a repeatable pattern that creates a predictable result, and there's 3 steps: pattern recognition, pattern utilization, and pattern optimization. So take a look at the information and don't take it all as fact, but just observe the patterns and be able to utilize that information and then optimize it in your life. For 3 areas: business freedom, financial freedom, and soul freedom. We look at business freedom is we have to look at, if I stop working for the next 90 days, will money still pay me? Do I work because I choose to, not because I have to? Most people can't. And that's why they're so afraid that if they stop, then their money's gonna stop. They're gonna have some problems. Because here's what we're seeing economically right now. Credit card debt's starting to go up. As of about a month ago, we had $1.2 trillion deposited from the American people that is starting to dwindle from all of the stimulus, because what's going on the last few years. The government and with the Federal Reserve, they've been printing what's called quantitative easing. They've been printing a lot of money into circulation, a lot of dollars into circulation to make the dollar worth way, way less. You know that, I know that, everyone knows it at this point. It's called inflation. But what also they've been doing is called quantitative T-bills, where they're buying their own debt. I want you to think about that. Could you actually go create a loan for yourself and then you cover that? Like, that doesn't make sense, it doesn't work, but that's what our government has been doing. We got somewhere over 30 trillion, I don't know the number anymore, we're gonna be 40 trillion at this point, but I know, that of debt with the US government. And we have over $1 trillion deficit. We got banks collapsing. But here's why I think it's different than 2007, 2008. For the real estate, I think real estate's great. Trust me. I think we're gonna have a 4 to 6% appreciation this year. I think rates are gonna come into the 5% after May 10th, roughly, when we see some of the bond market results. And I think that we're gonna really have a great opportunity for real estate. And write this down with real estate. Don't wait to buy real estate, buy real estate and wait. But where's the crash coming right now? When SVB Bank collapsed, what we really saw was a bubble bursting in the private equity and venture capital space. Because for so many years, interest rates have been at or near or less than 0%. People can borrow money for ridiculously low rates. Even take the SBA EIDL loan or the PPP loans that no one had to pay back. It's just, you get money, you get money, you get money. In fact, now people are like, fuck, why didn't I get more of it? Right? When we look at that EIDL loan, people are borrowing money. Some small businesses, $20, $50, $150,000. I know people that are $1 million to $5 million that they've borrowed, and write this down, 3.75% for 30 years. That's free freaking money. So in the private equity space, in the venture capital space, money was so cheap, people got lackadaisical on their investing rules and they put themselves into risky positions. And when the Federal Reserve decided to increase prime rate, it made lending more expensive. So now where I could used to go get a loan to do a new construction project at 4.25% because rates were so low, I'm at 9.75%. That's 5.5% higher. So the cost of financing is gonna make it really, really difficult. Here's what I think is gonna happen in the real estate space. I think new construction is gonna shrink even more just because of that, which means the demand is gonna be moving over to only existing, and we're gonna see inventory shrink. You're probably already seeing this, multiple offers in your market. If not, get ready with it. You will see it in the next month or two, where we'll have multiple offers again. And we continue to see this though, I think mortgage rates, they usually fall pretty close to the Fed rates, maybe a little bit less. I think we'll see finally sooner than later, the Feds hopefully begin to drop rates. We haven't seen it yet. We just saw them raise it again. Maybe another 2 or 3 times they'll raise rates, but they'll hopefully have curbed the inflation. That's what they're trying to do, is to slow down the amount of spending in the economy so the inflation isn't driving wild. I just don't know that they're gonna get this shit figured out. I think we're in for a wild ride in the next 24 months. Even more so, you got what's coming up in 2024. 2024, we have the new election. If you thought the last one was freaking crazy, wait till you see this one. Can you imagine Donald Trump in his set pretending to have just won and was just announcing his presidency while you got Joe Biden in the White House also claiming victory? 2 people claiming victory? I don't know, it could be pretty wild. But here's what I do know for a fact, that if you stay consistent with proven patterns that create predictable results, and you anticipate and you optimize, you'll be just fine. You can buy properties, businesses, you can buy businesses at discount because fear is driving the market. 2 things drive markets: greed and fear. Fear has now officially been driving the market. Look at the stock market. Look what happened in the real estate industry. Look at what happened in the bond industry the last several years. Look at what's been going on in every section. The reality is no one knows what's going on. So fear is driving the market, and what's driving it is fear of loss, fear of you losing what you've built, fear of the market getting worse, fear of the money stopping. If you drive through fear, you're gonna get crushed. So when everyone else is contracting, you expand. Expand by creating a business that drives a mass amount of cash, a cash generating machine into your life. Make it very profitable. I'm talking 50% or more profitable. Take profits, move it into assets, because assets are gonna be on sale. They already are. We're seeing it all over the place. And when you diversify in 15 different asset classes, you reduce your risk by over 80%. And in some of those assets, it's gonna take longer than others to make the money back, but others are gonna go quickly, as you're starting to see a little bit in Bitcoin most recently, and in gold and silver, and there's gonna be some others that surprise us. But here's my rule of thumb: don't wait to invest, invest and wait. Make sure you get out there, be okay that you're gonna make some mistakes, have certainty you're gonna light your own economy on fire, but no, it's gonna be a rough day ahead, a rough couple years ahead. That doesn't mean you have to suffer. What I recommend is get into proximity with people that are winning right now. Our business is up. Our business was up over 225% last year. This year it's up already 180% compared to year over year. And we're continuing to grow. Our investments are growing. Our net worth is growing. Our clients' businesses are growing. Get into proximity with people that are growing and scaling right now. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.